Hi, I'm Daniel from Ratings.com. Today we're testing the Z9F. It's a great 4K TV in Sony's Master Series, which is currently reserved for their highest end models of 2018. It is also known as the ZF9 in the UK or Europe, and we expect these international models to offer the same performance. It has a VA-type LCD panel, although it has fairly unique performance, as we'll see later. We bought the 65-inch Z9F to test, but it's also available in 75 inches. We expect this larger size to have similar picture quality and performance. We'll start by looking at the design of the TV and then move on to the picture quality. We'll also look at how the TV handles motion for sports or games and look at the input lag. We'll finish by comparing to these competing models which are currently available. The design of the Z9F is great. It looks very similar to other new Sony TVs like the X900F. It has a wide set stand which supports the TV well and feels fairly stable. It is also possible to reverse the legs to reduce the footprint for those who have narrower tables. When viewed from the side, the TV has a fairly average thickness. It is a bit thinner than the Z9D and can sit fairly close to the wall when mounted. The borders of the TV are also thin and look good and have a textured finish. The controls are located on the rear of the right-hand side of the TV. They can be a bit hard to find by touch due to the small size, and the 3 buttons only allow for basic functionality. The 2 sets of inputs are located on the rear, directed down and out the side of the TV. The ports on the side are easy to access if the TV is placed close to a wall. Most notably, compared to other Sony TVs, the Z9F has 4 ports which all support HDMI 2.0 full bandwidth, which is good for those with many 4K or HDR devices. The rear of the TV also looks good, and it can look exceptionally clean, as removable panels hide the rear inputs. The cables can also be routed down through the stand, keeping them well out of sight. Looking at a thermal image of the TV, we can see that the heat distribution is relatively even. This is likely a result of the full array backlight, so the LEDs which give off most of the heat are distributed evenly across the display. Now we'll look at the picture quality. We'll be comparing to currently available TVs, but competing models may change as new TVs are released throughout the year. For an updated comparison with new models as we buy and test them, see the review page on our website, which is linked below. The Z9F has a VA-type panel, although it has a lower contrast ratio than other VA TVs. We expect this is a result of the new optical layer introduced in this TV, which we'll talk about later. The native contrast is higher than IPS-type TVs, but blacks still appear grey when viewed in the dark. In a room with some lights, this isn't noticeable though. If you watch in the dark, then a TV with a high native contrast is a better choice, like the Q9FN or Vizio Quantum. To improve the dark scene performance, the Z9F has a local dimming feature, which works well. It reacts quickly to scene changes, which is good. When compared to the Samsung Q9FN, it can't produce as deep dark scenes, but also doesn't crush small details like the Samsung. When compared to the Vizio P Quantum, more blooming is noticeable on the Z9F, but the Sony performs better with small moving objects, as the transition between zones is less noticeable. The predecessor Z9D has better local dimming with less noticeable blooming and deeper letterbox bars in movies. OLED TVs like the LG C8 don't need local dimming as they're able to turn off individual pixels, so are a better choice for a completely dark room. The Z9F has improved viewing angles over other VA-type TVs. When compared side by side to the Vizio Quantum and Q9FN, it maintains colors and brightness better at an angle. When compared to OLED TVs like the C8, the image accuracy remains good, but the black level of the Z9F raises when viewed off-axis. While IPS TVs like the SK9000 have accurate colors when viewed from the side, the brightness drops more than the Z9F. As a result, the Z9F is a decent pick for those with wide seating. This is a result of the extra optical layer, which Sony calls X-Wide Viewing Angle Layer. The reflection handling of the Z9F is excellent, but the TV has some interesting properties. Bright lights diffuse horizontally across the whole panel, even lights which aren't directly reflected in the TV. This probably isn't a concern for most people, but we expect this to be a result of the new optical layer. The total reflections is very low, which is great for a bright room. Looking at an image of the pixels, we can see the cause of these unique results. If we focus closer to the surface of the screen, we can see the X-wide viewing angle layer. This vertical structure appears to refract light horizontally. This does result in better viewing angles, but also diffuses reflections horizontally. Typically, VA TVs have raised blacks when viewed from the side, so refraction of this light bleed at other angles may also result in the lower contrast measured. The Z9F is one of the brightest TVs we've tested. It can get the whole screen very bright to counteract glare, especially when combined with the great reflection handling. It can produce very bright highlights in real content, and the 1600 nit real scene in HDR is the highest we've measured. This is great for those who are after highlights that pop. The grey uniformity of the Z9F is also good. The edges of the screen are darker, but the center of the screen is relatively uniform. This should be good for watching sports like hockey or football, or for gaming. The Z9F has a wide color gamut, which is good for displaying vivid HDR highlights. It can't produce as wide a range of colors as QLED TVs like the Vizio Quantum and the Q9FN, but this is still good. HDR content can be displayed very accurately due to the Z9F's strict adherence to the reference PQ curve. Unlike previous Sony models, all of the picture modes have the same EOTF tracking. There is very little roll-off, but this is still quite good as the TV gets very bright anyway, so relatively few details fall outside of the TV's capabilities. This is great for those who care about brightness accuracy when watching HDR. The response time of the Z9F is very fast, which is excellent. Only persistence blur can really be seen following our moving logo image due to the short transitions. The Z9F also has the ability to flicker the backlight to clear up fast-paced motion. It can flicker at 120 Hz, which does create duplications behind most content at 60 FPS. As a result, TVs with 60 Hz flicker like the Q9FN, C8 and Vizio Quantum do appear clearer. This feature isn't for everyone though, as it does reduce the brightness of the image and produces noticeable flicker. The input lag of the Z9F is great, at about 20 milliseconds regardless of the input signal. This is good for gamers in 1080p from a Nintendo Switch or in 4K from an Xbox One X or PC. This is an improvement over previous Sony TVs and in the same ballpark as competing models like the Q9FN and C8. The Z9F runs Sony's version of Android TV, this time shipping with Android 8 or Oreo. The most noticeable difference is the massively improved speed of the interface compared to previous Sony models. Content is easier to find on the home screen, and the Google Play Store still provides access to a huge range of apps. It might not be as intuitive as LG's WebOS or Samsung's Smart Hub, but will please Android fans. Like other Sony TVs, a dedicated Google Assistant button on the remote provides quick voice access to a huge range of features, like searching for content or checking the weather. The sound of the Z9F is about typical of most TVs. It can get fairly loud and can produce clear dialogue, but lacks punch to its bass. For better sound, dedicated speakers or a soundbar is the way to go. So overall, the Z9F is an interesting TV which provides performance that is a hybrid between great VA and great IPS TVs. Dark scenes are better than IPS TVs, but not as good as competing VA models. Viewing angles are better than the VA competition, but not as good as IPS or OLED TVs. The Z9D is the predecessor to the Z9F. It's a great TV, which has a higher native contrast ratio and better local dimming, so is better for those who watch from directly in front in a dark room. For other uses though, the Z9F is a better TV with a faster response time and lower input lag for gaming, as well as faster smart features and better viewing angles. The Q9FN is Samsung's highest-end TV of 2018. It is better in a dark room due to the higher native contrast ratio, resulting in deeper blacks. It can also produce more vivid colors in HDR and has a few neat gaming features like support for FreeSync variable refresh rates. The Z9F gets brighter overall and has wider viewing angles, so may be a better choice for those with wide seating. The Vizio P Quantum is another great TV. It performs better in a dark room due to the deeper and more uniform blacks, and can also produce more vivid colors in HDR. The Z9F is better with gradients though, and also remains more accurate when viewed at an angle. OLED TVs like the C8 can produce perfectly deep blacks, which is excellent for those who watch in the dark. They also have an instantaneous response time, so fast-paced motion has a bit less blur. It isn't without downsides though, as there may be a risk of burn-in after long periods of static content, and the Z9F can get much brighter to overcome glare in a bright room. So that's it. What do you think of the Z9F? Is the low native contrast a good trade-off for wider viewing angles? Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can check out all of the measurements on our website, and if you like this video, subscribe to our channel or become a contributor. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.